Hello, my name is Kent and this is a little sketch video about my new Kickstarter project called Faze. I've been making computer games for years now, but haven't yet made one for general public release. As a computer scientist, AI researcher and general tinker of games, it's been a passion of mine to make games. To me, games are all about simple styles with addictive gameplay and great AI. I've been on a quest to make truly satisfying, simple games, and this is my next step in that adventure. Hopefully this project will help me put aside some time to actually make a game and release it for anyone to play. Without this funding, I can't afford to make it. So what's the game? Imagine taking that classic game Asteroids and mixing it with Worms, Artillery Duel, and those kinds of games. That's the inspiration for this game, called Faze. Asteroids was great for two reasons: simple art style and simple gameplay. I could spend hours just tapping away at that game. I want to pull out some of that essence and put it into a slightly more modern game. Worms is another great example. It has effectively two dynamics, shooting things and movement. Not all that complex, but with so many little nuances, the game becomes incredibly complex to play. It's not quite as simple as choosing a trajectory angle and firing the gun. You have to have skill in selecting the power with which you fire and take into account gravity and variable wind. Worms takes Artillery Duel and makes it that bit more dynamic. So where do we go from here? Well, let's take the asteroids from Asteroids and stick them in space. That is where they belong after all. Now let's take our worms, in this case ships, and plonk them on the asteroids. The ships can have the same dynamics as in Worms, selecting a trajectory angle to fire the gun. Nice and simple. We can even add the power dynamic too. That gives the game a little more skill to the otherwise strategy-based elements so far. The ships select a trajectory and power to fire their gun. Great, we have Artillery Duel in space. But let's add a few more dynamics, like gravity. Each of the asteroids emit a gravity wave, which affects the travelling trajectory of the bullets. Well, that's just made the game so much more complex. We like this. We can improve on the simple artillery game and add movement dynamics too. Replace firing the gun with launching the ship into space, and it turns into a game of cat and mouse. Taking the same trajectory and power elements for firing the gun, we can select the trajectory and power of launch and propel our ship across space into hopefully more advantageous positions. Again, with gravity taking effect, of course. Oh, and because it's me and I love coding AI, it was my job after all, this game will have fantastic enemy agent AI. Something to really challenge and entertain you. Good AI can make a game. The basic game will have a small selection of weapons, but if the project is backed enough and hits the stretch goals, I'll add in more weapon selections to make the game that bit better. Again, with more stretch goals will come extra features like power-ups. Of course, the more successful the project, the better the game. In the spirit of partying, if the project goes really well, I'll add multiplayer functions to the game, so that you can play again with friends and not just the awesome AI. That's the idea behind this humble little project. Please do pledge your support and back it. I'd love to get some time away from work to make this game for you to play. I promise it'll be an addictive little beast, and you can play with a cup of coffee at your lunch break or whenever. Simple, but fun. Cheers.